And it is a beautiful fall afternoon here in Tel Aviv. Actually, what they call winter here in the Middle East. It's not really winter. It's in the low 70s. I have the pleasure and honor to host Sagi Sigali from Rafa's Moonshot. I first heard Sagi 2 years ago at the in Jerusalem. So we'll talk a bit about what he's doing there. My name is Danny Lieberman. I'm the host of Life Sciences Today podcast. So let's get it on. So first of all, let's start with your journey, your personal story. It's an amazing personal story.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to the podcast. A bit about myself. My name is Sagi Sigali. I live in Tel Aviv, as we said. I'm a cybersecurity entrepreneur. In the past decade, I co-founded and exited two companies. And in the past 2 years, I shifted all my focus into life science, drug development, and drug discovery because of the discovery and diagnosis of my son, Rafael, which is 4 years old, and he was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder named STXBP1. And since then, I changed my entire career path into developing a cure, a drug to Rafa, and founded Rafa's Moonshot, which is a non-profit that we founded, me and my wife Ella. She is a neurologist, in order to develop therapeutics for SXBP1, finding biomarkers, clinical endpoints, and focus a lot on the research, preclinical research. And currently, we are developing three different therapeutic projects. The first compound we found for Rafa 6 months post diagnosis, when the doctor said there's no cure, there's nothing to do. We said that we will do something and we will find a therapy. So we did that, and besides that, we are developing two other therapeutic projects, and we are initiating a lot of research in Israel, Europe, and the US.
Well, that's an incredible story. I mean, the fact that you can do it, maybe it's happening because you are an outsider. You're not an insider. I guess if you would be a professor of life science in Hadassah, maybe you wouldn't have been able to do that, I guess. But um, so maybe take our listeners through the idea how you actually create value for drug companies, biotech companies who will eventually develop these molecules. How does that work?
So I think that rare disease industry is a bit different than traditional or like a common drug therapeutics. So I think that my background as an entrepreneur is very helpful because the first thing that I did, besides learning biology and understanding STXBP1, is understanding the personas. Who I'm selling to, what is the market, what is the plan, how can I build a go-to market. Currently, we're a non-profit, so it's a different mindset. But still, in order to get to the clinic, we need to think for profit, how to raise funds, and how to make it interesting for biopharmas and pharmas to take a rare disease indication. Um, so our strategy, we understand like what is the market for SXBP1, what is the potential, what are the different strategies that we can develop, what is like the golden number. SXBP1, we have 1,400 diagnosed patients worldwide. It's becoming like a massive number comparing to other rare and ultra rare disorder. And then we understand like the mathematics and how to tweak the numbers. I can, if you want, I can dive into the logics and the business plan, but it's first understanding to who you're going to sell, what are you going to sell, like which technology, and how you're going to distribute it, and how you can promise, like a recurring revenue for the farmers, because we will find more patients, because we will have like the only drug that is relevant for this disease. And in many cases, you can take like a rare disease, like a single indication, and go from one to many, from uncommon to many common targets that will use the same compound, the same therapy.
Right.
So we're also working on finding the connections. So this is also part of our strategic plan.
And you take this pitch, so to speak, with the go-to-market and the economics behind that, and you take that to pharma, and you basically sell them on the idea that they can develop a therapeutic for this rare genetic disease.
Hmm.
One of the guests on my podcast previously, they're developing actually like a pipeline of indications. They're sort of like doing it in parallel for very ultra rare retinal disorders. And so we talked a little bit about making money. He said it's not a problem. You can make money from rare diseases. And
Yeah, I agree.
and you know I had that with one of my previous companies. We did work with an indication called PNH. There are not too many PNH patients in the world. There are like, I think, maybe 15 in Israel. But, you know, the company Exelon, they made, God, at the height, it was like, I think, a $15 billion a year business. So it was like huge business. So, yeah, you can make money from rare diseases, but I guess it depends on how you pitch it.
Yeah. You know like what is like the best example that I always use? The CF Foundation, cystic
Mhm.
fibrosis.
Mhm.
The story of Vertex. Vertex is like a multi-billion dollars company that the first funding came from the foundation and they developed the therapeutic for CF. They solved the problem. It took like tens, like decades to find the solution, but the foundation kept on funding research, investing in the company, then developing the therapeutics, and now the CF Foundation is one of the richest and resourceful foundations worldwide. They're like acquiring companies, investing in companies. It's became a whole, a huge foundation that drives a lot of momentum and research for CF. So I think this is like one model that we can do. So we have like assets and IP in our foundation, and ideally we will find, you know, the right biopharma or biotech company that will, you know, like take our assets and will take them forward into the clinic together with us, or we will do it as a company. So shifting from a non-profit to for-profit. So like different constellations and different options for us. And another thing that I do is I had more than 1,000 conversations with influencers, scientists, clinicians, researchers, biopharmas. So I'm trying to market STXBP1, which is the gene that we are developing a therapy for. And basically, we're managing to, you know, like to get into new pipelines of biopharmas and making it attractive because we discover more patients, because we're doing natural history studies, we're collecting data, we're understanding the mechanism. So we're trying, you know, like to build everything for the biopharmas and just take it and develop the therapy for STXBP1.
That's incredible. But you know, the clinical operations, the sponsor is doing, right? The biopharma is doing the clinops, right? You guys are not actually running clinical operations, are you?
No, we're not. We are, you can think about us like as a very powerful hub that connecting many different researchers, clinicians, biopharmas all together, connecting the dot and then like, you know, like getting new indications and
Right.
new therapies. Next year, there will be a biopharma that will sponsor a clinical trial in Israel for STXVP1. So this is like a hot news.
Wow. So this, you know, this is the first time. This is the first time I'm hearing this, and this is incredible news. So you know, you heard it first on Life Sciences Today, and it's great news. Can you disclose the name of the pharma, or that's
No, no, not
it's
yet. It's very early.
well,
Nothing. It's not signed yet, but it's hopeful it will happen. It will happen, and I think it's a good news for the community. But this is like one example of what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring to the table uh, patients, other foundations, clinicians, researchers, and the industry all together to create more momentum and more therapeutics.
right. Are you talking to research sites also? You know, there must be some research sites that have better strength, that are stronger at this sort of genetic research. No,
To
or you just
researchers,
do
I'm
you
talking.
talk to research sites? You know, like clinical research sites, or do you just talk to pharma and researchers?
But both, I'm trying to combine and try to, like every conversation that seems like with a potential or just like having many conversation and building a network. And trying also to attend conferences and to create the relationship there face to face is very important with the key decision makers and the stakeholders. So that's like another approach. And I think that all of that came from my career as a serial entrepreneur, understanding how to build the momentum, build the plan, understanding the strategy, go to market. So I think this is the added value that I can bring to the table. And the science itself, we also have in the team a neuroscientist full time. She's coordinating all the science and deep diving into it. But we're trying to, like breaking the silos and bring many people as possible together to get that motion going.
That's beautiful. So where is the funding for all of this coming from?
It's a good question. So, most of the funding came from us as a family, as a donation to manage the operation of the foundation. Besides that, our strategy is that we're donating a grant or incubating a project, but then immediately we think strategically, how can we finance the rest of the project? So this year we managed to bring around $2 million extra in grants, in research grants to our PIs and our projects. So this is like a part of the motion that we're trying to build. So for every dollar that we donate, we get another three or four extra dollars in grants
That's
and another non-dilutive funding.
that's beautiful. So it actually creates a very strong connection between you and the researchers who are getting funding from you.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me an example, the kind of organizations that fund Rafa's Moonshot.
Organization that fund Rafa's Moonshot. So the organizations are basically funding the researchers that we are working with.
Right. So they're funding them directly.
Yes, it's going to. So we're going to incubate. We need like for example, a new disease model, or we want to screen a new compound. So we are responsible to locate the right partner to work with. We are bringing the first dollars, and then we are sitting with them about which potential grants we are helping in the writing, we are helping in the collaboration, we are connecting to other partners. So basically, we're creating a consortium. So we're trying to create like like to think about the most innovative idea that will have the most chances to get the grant. And once it's connected, we're increasing the chances, and we got good results this year.
Right. So it's academic researchers, I assume.
Most of them, some are CROs that we are working with, some are like biopharmas, biotechs that we are working
No,
with.
but the researchers are academic people, right?
Yeah, most of the research is academia,
Yeah.
but
So how does
some of we are working with CROs.
that's interesting. I thought CROs were mostly clinical operations. I
No,
didn't.
no, if you want, for example, to develop a line of cells, you want to own the IP, you want to also
Really?
in preclinical research, you can use CROs.
Ah, that's true. Okay. So for preclinical, you can go to a CRO. I got it.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. That's very interesting hybrid kind of model that you have
It's
there.
very distributed, very hybrid, yeah. But that's our way to move fast.
For
There
sure.
are disadvantages, but again, like many other advantages.
What are the disadvantages?
So I think the biggest disadvantage with working with academia and distributed centers, it's affecting your progress. You can control something to some level, but again, I mean, sometimes academia they have like other interests. They want to publish papers. It's not about getting
Sometimes,
sometimes.
sometimes they have other interests. Gee, I don't know. I wouldn't know
It's
about that.
yeah. So it's also like a trade-off, like budget versus time and progress. Again, we are non-profit, so we're
Budget
trying to.
versus politics, okay? Say it. Come out and say it, okay?
Yeah. So we are thinking also like other path of, like kind of like establishing our own lab, bringing researchers in-house and then to advance the research. But I think that for the level of the proof of concept and for, like some certain levels of the research and the projects, it's okay to work like that and then to shift gears once you have like more concrete data and more confidence, it will be about the time to flip and move into like a for-profit in-house.
Well, that's a whole new ball game, but
Yeah.
it's an exciting ball game. Um, we talked about this, and before I hit the last question in the podcast, I'm going to hit you with a surprise question.
Mm.
So hold on to your seat. So, what is, in your opinion, Sagi, the biggest anti-pattern in the rare disease industry today?
Yeah, that's I need to think about the answer. Um, I think that for us, not only like in rare, it's focusing on basic science rather than preclinical and not understanding the go-to market. And I see like many families or other peers that initiating research in the rare for rare disease, but most of the time they invest a lot of money without like a clear strategy and a clear path into the clinic, and it can be just basic science or understanding, like a small part of the bigger picture. So I think it's building the right plan, understanding the path, a clear path to the clinic, and then finding the right partners, finding the right researchers, defining the milestone of each project, and not focusing on, like the basic science stuff. You need to understand what are the A, B, and C that you need in order to get to the next milestone and eventually get to the clinic. So you need to be like very minded into it, and I see like a lot of defocus with other peers.
A lot of defocus, maybe like 10 years of defocus. It's like you spend 10 years in the basic science, and then, by the time you're in phase three, you're wondering how you're going to sell this fucker, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, depends who we are. We're
yeah,
trying to be the opposite, very
yeah.
focused.
You know, one of the guests on the show a few weeks ago, I asked him the question, and he did not hesitate for a second. He said the biggest anti-pattern in the drug research industry is copy paste protocols. And you can understand that, coming from, software and cyber and tech, copy paste is deadly in cyber. And,
Hmm.
because when you're copy paste, you're copy paste up, a defense, a security countermeasure that the attackers have figured out a year ago already. So it's like, it's not going to work. But he said something really interesting. He said he did a project once where they started from the label. And I thought that was brilliant because if you start from the label, and work your way back and say, this is what the label needs to say. Then you say, this is what the research article needs to show. This is what the process for investigating the therapeutic needs to look like. This is what the protocol needs to look like. Going from the label all the way back to the protocol is a brilliant way of looking at that. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like a different version of what you're saying, thinking about basic science instead of thinking about go to market. So go to market is really the label, okay?
Hmm.
And if you think about go to market, and I see this so much in the medtech, by the way, medtech industry, you see people are like in the medtech trenches for like 4 or 5 years developing, getting FDA approval, and then what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the last question is three things. This is kind of like an interview question. You remember when you were first looking for a job out of school.
It was a
Uh,
long time ago.
it was a long time, it was a long time ago for me, but I still remember they would say, where do you want to be in 5 years? Remember that question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Three things you want to do for your own customers. I assume you're the patients with this genetic disorder, including Rafa. So three things you want to do for patients in the next year.
Yeah, for patients in the next year, I want to have a successful clinical trial. I want to have like a huge progress in other indications that we are developing that will give us like, the green light into the clinical trials. 5 years from here, I want to have, like a solution, a full solution for S6BP1. I want to build a new research center for CNS, for neurogenetic disorder that will help other families and other patients in Israel and worldwide. And I want specifically in Israel to co-found and bring more life science companies into the industry, build the ecosystem. I think we really missed we have the potential, we have the entrepreneurship, we have the researchers, the brilliant minds. We need to connect them and we need to build giant companies. Why they can do that in the US and not here in Israel? Like many open questions, and we need to do it. It will take time, but we will make it.
Yeah, I think, and it's a beautiful vision, and I'm with you on this. I think we actually connected on LinkedIn 2 weeks ago. It was a thread talk. Someone asked how come there's no drug industry in Israel, and I won't go into that. That's worth a separate podcast on its own.
Yeah, it was me.
And you were the one that started it, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, right. And I had an answer to that. I don't know if people like my answer or not, didn't like my answer, but I have my own 5-point analysis of why there's no drug industry here. And one of my anti-patterns is Teva, but I'm not going there. Okay. So
yeah,
uh, that can be a different podcast. We'll bring a bunch of ex-Teva people and a bunch of people who love Teva and people who less love Teva, and we'll put them all in the same podcast. That'll be a lot of fun.
yeah.
And it's a great vision. I'm saying this for our readers. We're going to put this in the podcast entry when we go live. But the website is rafasmoonshot.com. Rafa's RAFAS moonshot, like it says, .com. My guest today is Sagi Sigali, who's an ex tech guy, 2 times entrepreneur, exits. I think you were involved in Checkpoint for a while.
Yeah.
And so Checkpoint is, a word everyone knows. And my name is Danny Lieberman. I'm the host of Life Sciences Today. I'm an ex-cyber guy myself, so I can really, sympathize, empathize with everything you're saying. We'll go live in a few weeks, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.